I live inside my own world of make-believe. Kids screaming in the cradles, profanities. I see the world through ice covered in ink and bleach. Cross out the ones who heard my cries and watched me weep. I love that.
What's up, betters? We are in the house. Another live stream today. I am joined by some very special people because we have a huge story to talk about. We are going to be diving into it today. So thank you so much for joining. I do want to give a special shout out to all the moderators who are working right now. Thank you so much for running the chat, doing your thing. Thank you so much. And to everyone watching, let me introduce all my guests today. We have Pavel from Psicoativo. You know him, of course, regular friend of the channel. We got Clint down there at the bottom from Nightshift podcast. I got links in the description, so go please check out the channels if you haven't already. And our special guest today, Simon Holland, science filmmaker. So excited to have him here. My first conversation. I can't even believe it, y'all. Simon is here. Simon is here. Thank you guys for joining.
Great.
Awesome. I love it. Boom. Pin drop. Let's go, y'all. There you go. There you go. Look, as a tradition on these live streams, y'all, before we get going, I like to do something very special for the crowd here, which is I say where I'm from, and then everyone in the chat tells me where they're watching from, and I shout it out because we have a very global audience, as you're about to see here. So I'm in Texas. Pavel, where you at?
Tijuana,
Mexico. Clint, where you at, brother?
New York.
New York. And Simon?
The Dordogne in Southwest France.
Look at that. You win.
Damn.
You win, Simon. You win. All right, here we go. We got North Charlotte, North Wales, Tallahassee, Toronto, Nashville, another Toronto, Vermont, Austria. Love it. Richmond, Virginia, Michigan, UK, Dallas, Missouri, Massachusetts, Belgium, Los Angeles, India, Seattle, Denmark, Australia, Illinois, Florida, Tacoma, Washington, Vancouver, beautiful, Corsica, Switzerland, love that, Indiana, Boston, another Toronto, Texas, Scotland, Finland, Liverpool, Indiana, holy cow, y'all, Saskatchewan, that's just fun to say, Ventura, California, another Switzerland, Tucson, Cleveland, Italia, love it, Nova Scotia, Hungary, Sweden, Mexico City. I think we get the point, y'all. South Africa, look at that. Right, all over the world, y'all. Love it.
Great.
And that will grow as we get this live stream going. So thank you for everyone watching across the globe. Like I said, all of these gentlemen, I have the links to their channels down in the description. So please, if you haven't heard of them or haven't checked out, please go subscribe to their channels. All right, gentlemen, we have quite an interesting story to tell today. Pavel, I'm gonna give it to you first to just kind of maybe give us an overview of why do you think we're here today?
because I actually can give you like a time frame of when it all started. I saw a video of Simon talking about the SETI modulation that was found in the early 2000s, and I made a video about it, and I reached out to him, and he was really gracious to go on the channel for the first time, and we talked about this. And since then, I've been following the story, talking to people on my end. I've been hearing rumblings about James Webb, and to be honest, if there's something or someone that's going to reveal anything of substance in terms of disclosure, I don't think it's going to come from the government. I think it's going to come from James Webb or scientists or YouTube, if I'm being honest.
Okay.
And then last Sunday, I saw Matt Ford interviewing Lou Elizondo, and he asked him an unsettling question that made me connect the dots. And I asked around, and I got that information about Congress, people in Congress being briefed about James Webb, and something that has been going around for a while now, apparently.
And what did they brief them on about James Webb?
I am only comfortable saying the stuff that is not like going to potentially scare people, because I don't like that. I'm not down with doomers or anything like that. So they're being briefed about that. James Webb confirmed two things, allegedly. That's what they're talking about.
Yeah, allegedly.
One is that these lights may have been spotted about 0.9 light years away. If that information is inaccurate, maybe Simon can help out, fill in the blanks. And the other one is the one that made me do the video, which is that people are being told that they spotted an object that is not natural because it course corrected, that is allegedly approaching here. So that's not something.
So let me see if I understand this correctly. There may be something headed for Earth, a non-human object potentially. Is that the theory? Again, this is all allegedly, but we're spitballing.
That's what That's what I was told, that they're telling people in Congress.
Yeah, and do you think like a craft? We don't know.
They just said an object.
An object. Yeah. Okay. Just trying to, because if I'm watching, that's my first question, right? What kind of object? What are we? How big?
And I think the information,
the size of this is.
I think the information is incomplete, because I know that people within the disclosure movement, they know about this. They are talking about this between them, but they're not telling the information to the people. And
okay.
My point. What?
Sorry, problem. No, please finish.
My point of this video was to make these people just come clean with what they have or what they know or what they're being told. That's what I want.
Got it. Okay, I have two questions just right off the bat.
Yeah.
How big potentially is this object? And when you say disclosure people, like who are you? What do you mean by that? Like who are you talking about?
I mean the ones that are doing the control disclosure. Everybody involved since 2017. Those people.
Yeah. Behind the scenes or public people?
No, both. Both.
Got it. Okay. Yeah. And how big? Is there a theory on how big this object is?
The only word I heard was massive. That's it.
Yeah.
Massive.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, Simon. What do you think?
Well, I'm slightly skeptical, but I need to fill everybody in with a bit of background on this.
Yes,
there is an incredible story which Pavel is telling, but there's also why are we doing this now, and the funding behind it needs to be exposed, and I think I've exposed it. So I'll just quickly run over what I think is actually happening. So SETI at Home, which was our online screensaver, was so successful that they multiply scanned the same bits of the night sky and sent out the data to multiple millions of people throughout the world, and all the data was open source. I'm being very quick here. A mathematician in a university in Italy parsed the information, which was open source, and because it was scanned multiple times, found tiny targets, candidates, remember that word because it's going to keep on coming up, candidates, which could be the signature of extraterrestrial technology. SETI, as far as I know, ignored it. But at the very same time, a very, very well-funded organization came out, run by a very well-known, I'm not going to name him, billionaire, who bought all the satellite time, all their telescope time on Earth, Green Bank, Parkes, everywhere that he possibly could, because the data that the scientists in Italy found was 5 candidates. And they were renamed BL, Breakthrough Listen C, BLC 1 to 5. And they are real candidates. BLC 1, which is quite close to Earth, is a technological signature, but it has a problem. When you turn the telescope towards it, it's there. When you turn it away, it disappears. So it's a single point source. It's narrow band, meaning it's a small electromagnetic frequency like a radio signature. But the thing that probably I haven't told you and what Breakthrough Listen know is this. Listen to this very carefully. The signal is Doppler shifted. That means when you can listen to it and scan it on a telescope, as the Earth rotates for 2 hours, the signal goes up or down, I don't know, in frequency. It's Doppler shift, meaning that it's coming from a rotating planet. So it's a planet source, it's a single point source, and it is also narrowband. But it has an enormous problem. And the problem is it's incredibly weak. It's not an ET signature. It's not an ET saying, hello, we're here. It's an ET's everyday life. It's the radio frequency, maybe, or rocks rubbing together, maybe, of a planet that is producing an electromagnetic spectrum. But it's really there, but it's in the LIZ, the low information zone. So that when they published the paper, they said, we can't rule out that it's interference. And that's where it stood. Now, I didn't believe that because I was getting stuff from European astronomers who were telling me, no, it's definitely a signal. So I interviewed the principal investigator of Breakthrough Listen, Andrew Simeon from Berkeley, who also works for SETI. And I said, Andrew, tell me about BLC1, Breakthrough Listen 1. And he said, we're still looking at it. I said, but it's only interference in your paper. He says, we're still looking at it. So something is going on. And then, this is the tie-in with James Webb and Pavel. He said, maybe it's not a radio signature. I said, what else could it be? He said, Breakthrough Listen doesn't just look for radio signatures. We look for optical signatures. And we use different technology, obviously James Webb and telescopes, because we think from these 5 candidates, BLC 1 to 5, there are a light source, possibly a laser or some. I'm being very human in saying that. There's some light signature coming from these candidates, and it's quite likely that these candidates are real. They're really verified. That James Webb has looked for a light signature, and radio telescopes on Earth are looking for more details in the radio signature. A massive new funding from Europe called Horizon, which funds all science in Europe, is putting so much money into radio astronomy right now. They've found something. They've built a new telescope in Germany. There's one in Africa being built. No, that has been built. And they're upgrading something called a square kilometre array in Australia, because it's all being funded for these BLC, the candidate signatures. And I absolutely don't doubt, and Andrew, the head of Breakthrough Listen, told me they're looking for optical signatures, probably with a James Webb. So yes.
Wow. Okay, right here, y'all. This is my brain exploding.
I think we found we could possibly have found a signature of an ET, of an alien technological signature. We can't really nail it. We need more data. But that's what they're doing right now. Pavel, that's why James Webb is looking for optical signatures, and that's why all these telescopes in the world, radio telescopes, are focusing in to get more data and get out of the LIZ, get out of the low information zone. I think they found something.
Yeah, and what makes me doubt and keep asking questions is that people are being briefed about something.
Yeah.
And also, the Americans are extremely coy about what they're saying. They're not saying anything at all. The most accurate information we're getting is from the ESA, precisely, and from SETI.
I think we need to all. So Breakthrough Listen is funded by a very rich gentleman who's put all this money because he knows, money where his mouth is. He knows that something big has been found, and he wants to, I think, in the next 5 years, actually announce that BL, Breakthrough Listen, are actually going to find something and actually have proof. And I think you're right, Pavel. European Space Agency, I'm not sure if that's the right people. I think European Science Fund, SETI also, you have to know, is not an American organization.
No,
we could be SETI. I could be SETI. Anybody. It's just an umbrella term. And there's a big schism right now between SETI in the US and SETI in Europe, as far as I'm hearing. I'm sure they're all friends. But I think the big announcement is going to come from Oxford in England, which is the headquarters of Breakthrough Listen, and on social media, because we're digging.
Yeah. The billionaire funding it, does his name rhyme with Schmigelo?
It does. Yeah.
Just wanted to check.
It's just one of those weird rhymes, Clint, isn't it? Yeah.
It's funny how those work.
Yeah.
So are we saying
yes, Clint, please steelman this back. Like, what did you hear? Because did I hear what I think I heard? Like, tell us what you think you just heard.
Well, I think what I'm looking for, and this might be my mistake, is I'm looking for the thing that's forcing all of this UAP disclosure effort that is moving apace now, and it seems like it's tied to some kind of a ticking clock, and so my brain wants to find that cause in all of this. Could this be related to that? This announcement that's impending that they really can't hide from anymore, and if it were to happen, that might cascade into all kinds of other conversations.
Yeah, and things seem to be picking up steam, right? Like just yesterday, Senator Kelly, who was like a skeptic and denier, he was like, UFOs need to be studied. And I was like, that's a 180. What happened? What made you go like that just overnight?
Is the idea that what Pavel's talking about, that Congress is being briefed on, is it the same thing, Simon, that you're talking about? This potential signature, you think?
I think the Pavel's very smart in mentioning the light. I think when we're talking about very faint photons coming from, I think, the same sources. I definitely got the impression from the principal investigator of Breakthrough Listen that I should be not only looking, or we all should not only be looking for electromagnetic radio waves, but we should be, and they are, very much investigating possibly an ET civilization using light energy to communicate. And that seemed an incredible coincidence when I heard on Pavel's channel, brilliant, that James Webb were finding light signatures. You have to also understand James Webb is not an optical telescope, it's infrared. So, I mean, that's its whole point. I mean, it's a fantastic instrument. It immediately rung a connection bell in my little brain that possibly Breakthrough Listen and the lights that they're looking for could be something that James Webb's finding. I have not heard a thing, but I am asking around about this object. I just happen to know, because I did a film with them for NASA, the people called Atlas, which every night they photograph the night sky way out into our solar system. Atlas and their sister organization called Pan-STARRS were the ones who found Oumuamua, which was an interstellar object. And if it's within range, and it can be very, very distant, they can see something. But I need more information. I mean, how far away is it, Pavel? I mean, we don't know. I mean, if it's, say, 200 light years away, it's going to be 200 years to reach Earth at the speed of light. I mean, we need to know its size. We need to know its distance. And the other thing is military.
And trajectory.
Oh, well, yeah, I'd love, it'd be fascinating if it's moving and altering its trajectory. That would be absolutely fascinating. You have to remember that the biggest radar dish in the world is in the panhandle of Florida, and that's a military radar that can actually photographically resolve an object thousands of miles away in space, so they can actually see it.
I think that toy is from the NRO, if I'm not mistaken.
It's in a military base. They use it for lots of different things. And what you probably don't know is that there is a sister one in Germany that is just as powerful. And of course, they used to have Arecibo, which was never a radio telescope. It was a radar dish. Most people don't know that because it could resolve incredible detail on solar system objects. Unfortunately, amazingly, Arecibo fell down on the very week that Oumuamua was entered our solar system. So we didn't get radar data from it. But yeah, no, there's things coming towards Earth are going to be really studied because they are a threat. How far out it is, what the speed. I'm digging through my radio telescope contacts and the Atlas team, and if they find anything, they'll tell me, and I'll share it.
Same with
that's
Baja.
awesome.
Same
Listen,
with Baja.
for everyone just tuning in, we've had a lot of new viewers, jump into the stream. I'm going to try to steel man back everything I've heard and see if I understood it correctly. Like I'm the audience right now, right? Like, did I hear everything correctly? And maybe we can clear up if there's any confusion on anything. So I want to make sure that this is clear for everybody. So this is what I understood. I guess two separate things. Let me start with what Simon, what you said. So I'm not sure exactly who, but there have been 5 signatures detected. One of them we're calling, I forget the name, BC1 or something along those lines.
Listen, BLC1, 1 to 5.
BLC1, that's right, 1 through 5. And the closest signature to us, right, is the one that has a frequency that we're picking up, some sort of, I guess, radio frequency, and then an optical frequency that we're picking up. But it can only be viewed directly head on from this telescope. If it's viewed from an angle, it's not there anymore. Yeah, it's not there anymore, which is interesting. And potentially because there's this optical attachment, right? They're capturing some sort of light or something. Or a reflection of something off of something. I don't know. This may be something non-human. It could be an asteroid. I guess we're just unsure of what it is, but it is headed towards Earth or coming close to Earth. I guess that's what these are some of the questions that I have.
I think they're two separate things. I think Breakthrough Listen are looking for a signature on a planet orbiting, and the 5 candidates are all the highest probability candidates that SETI found from SETI.
Got it.
I believe.
Got it.
By this Italian mathematician. Yeah. So no, the Breakthrough Listen 1 isn't moving towards us. It's a planet.
No. Yeah.
And the light source is the same as the radio source from the same planet.
No idea.
We don't know.
I know. The only thing that they've published is this very low information zone radio source, which they're saying could be interference. But between you and I, the head of the project is still looking at it. Why? Well, he wants more detail. And the connection. And he also pointed me very much into, Simon, don't look at radio, look at optical. And as soon as Pavel mentioned lights, I went, oh, that's interesting. So no, I don't know how they're connected. I don't know.
Is there any discussion, like would a laser be a better way to communicate directly with us if they wanted to send a signal, some kind of focused beam? Or would it matter?
No, it doesn't matter. Light, photons, and EM radiation both travel only at the speed of light. I'd love to talk to you about faster than the speed of light communication later.
Sure.
Quantum tunneling, you mean?
Yeah, quantum tunneling communication is a thing. I know a university in Germany who have demonstrated it in the lab over a few meters, instantaneous. As soon as the signal leaves the transmitter, it doesn't have to traverse any time. It's immediately already at the receiver. And that distance, they've only checked over a few meters, but potentially that distance could be infinite. It leaves and it arrives at the same time. There is no time between them.
That is the spooky
That's
action at a
crazy.
distance that Albert Einstein mentions.
Yeah, he called it spooky because he hated it, and I'm very much a science historian. I'm with Albert there, but he's wrong. Quantum tunneling does exist. It's all about percentages. It's all about probability, and it's real. The difficult thing with quantum tunneling communication is how do you encode a signal into something which is wiggling on Earth, and so they get something that they can read at a distant site. That bit. Everybody says it's impossible because quantum states are either spin up or spin down. How do you, and also the one, when you look at the receiving signal, by observing the signal, you're altering the one that was sent. I don't know how they've got around it.
Me neither. That's a lot. Yeah.
But in theory, if that were scaled up at scale, you could have real-time instantaneous communication anywhere in space. You could have a Mars colony
or travel. Yeah, exactly. Not just communication, but
theoretically, yes,
matter traveling, right? And
I hear they've already got it.
Wow.
You really can't tell you about this, but imagine you were in Omaha, Nebraska, and I choose my words very carefully, and you had a way.
I was born in Omaha.
Oh, cool. Well, very specifically, I'm mentioning Omaha, Nebraska, because it's possible to talk from that place to a military asset, again, being coy here, anywhere instantly without fast, because you need, in this day of hypersonic and really fast moving data, you need to be able to send a signal instantly. And I think it's already probably at an early stage, but quantum communication is something that everybody's wanted. And you're right, you could talk to a distant planet. I mean, there's no gap.
So that would functionally be like Star Trek in the sense that they have real-time face-to-face video calls.
Have you seen the three-body problem?
Yeah, sure.
That communication they have, it's the same thing. That is quantum tunneling, essentially.
Yeah.
Sure. Well, quantum tunneling is real. How you actually make it and actually put it into a walkie-talkie. Sorry, Hezbollah. That's my other subject for the day. But once it is perfected, wow! Because suddenly we can, if we do make contact with a non-terrestrial intelligence, and we can say, in conventional terms, in light speed, build one of these buggers, and we've got one instantly. It doesn't take 20 years to say hello and reply. It's instant communication. We would need that.
Crazy. Oh yeah.
Space is big. Yeah.
If this
is
just
like the telephone and walkie-talkies here on Earth became crazy, right? To think about.
Yeah, imagine.
Right.
Here's a hypothetical, Simon. I want to ask you. Do you think it's possible that now that this has been confirmed, the quantum tunneling communication, do you think it's possible that three-letter agencies may already be using that?
They'll be the first to use it. I mean, I don't know who's using it. I think the fundings obviously will be entirely military, and people who want to do instant communication, irrespective of distance. I mean, we're not going to go to Mars and wait for 30 minutes to send a signal. I mean, at present, if you've got the remote control for the Mars rover, you have to tell it to turn left 30 minutes before it turns left. That's an incredible headache for JPL at present. Yeah. Imagine if you could fly that helicopter or the drone on Mars in real time.
Sure.
It seems sensible.
Game changer.
To me. Yeah.
Game changer. I mean, real quick, Simon, I do want to get back to something you said about Omaha. Did I hear that correctly? Potentially in the city that I was born. Yeah. My dad served in the Air Force there at that station. That's why I was born there.
That's the
potentially. Okay. Oh, okay.
That's news to me.
This my dad. I don't think he. I don't know. Was my dad part of some secret space program? He wasn't, but that would be cool. Anyway, okay, so potentially at this Air Force base is the ability to send matter, like people?
No.
teleporting?
Well, but I think, yeah, that would be good, wouldn't it? I'd love that. Stop me traveling on low-cost airlines. Well, but no, I think it's... I was told that Omaha is a communication center, which is of great importance for various forces, probably the Air Force. And although I kind of thought it was the Navy, but I wasn't told that in much detail. And they specifically said there's a communication base based in Nebraska that has that is going to have the potential to do this quantum communication.
Okay, got it.
They don't tell me the goat farmer in France, but my big secret, guys, is I read science papers, because these people at DARPA, these people at Lockheed Martin, they don't want to tell you what's going on, but they fund it through basic research. So if you go to one of these leading universities, they're funding departments, and there's a department looking at quantum tunneling communication. Why? And you can follow the money.
Yeah, that's key. And I do gotta add something that it's important about the James Webb Telescope.
Oh, yeah.
This is a known fact that it does have classified missions, So does it have classified capabilities too?
That's a good question. That's an interesting question. So what you're asking, Pavel, is does the James Webb Telescope have capabilities that haven't been made to the public? Potentially, right?
Yes.
To be, I mean, that makes sense. It's the only thing we send up. It's huge. I showed a video of it earlier, right? Like it's this massive thing. I mean, that makes sense that they would, have it do things that we're not going to know about. And does it have capabilities we don't know about? That's interesting.
I would assume almost
what do you think?
Everything we put in space has some kind of dual use.
Sure.
Right.
Military application.
Sure.
That's just, I don't know. It just feels comfortable to assume that. Maybe I'm wrong.
So there it is. The James Webb
I think everything
orbiting.
from James Webb is being filtered. I mean, I think it all comes back. It's raw data. It goes through scientists, and their conclusions and their papers are looked at and vetted. Again, I don't like to mention a certain team that's looking for asteroids, but they, of course, see everything that's in the sky. And they're looking for near-Earth objects which might be non-trivial and hit Earth in the future, which they do by joining dots from moving stuff. But guess what? They see everything. And between you and I and the world, thank you, Patrick, is that all their data is filtered. It goes first through Space Command, who take out all the satellite stuff, and then it goes to the Minor Planet Society. And so I'm sure James Webb, the scientists say, this is what we found. Oh, this is what you publish, mate. That's how science usually works.
It seems like one gets the sense that we're in the earliest days of the race to colonize the solar system and to really magnify the size of the economy by how far we can expand. And the real huge money of the next century is going to be in who can do it faster, who can do it cheaper, who can move more payload for less money, who can communicate faster and build a communications network across the entire solar system. And my sense is that that's what's behind a lot of not just the advancements in technology that we're seeing, but the push for disclosure, because at some point we're just going to have so many civilians in space that they're going to start seeing stuff. If there are craft coming and going and there's things happening that there's just not going to be the bottleneck on information that there is now, or there has been for the last 65 years. And I think it's going to open up. Do you have that sense, Simon, that's
No, you're
in the cards?
You're absolutely right. I mean, the big money. I did this film in French television with Jeff Bezos, and Jeff's absolute passion is he is an environmentalist, but he's an environmentalist because he wants all heavy industry. He wants Amazon off world. He wants a base on the moon. He wants space stations. He wants to go to Mars like his like his mate who builds electric cars. I mean, that is the point. The big money is getting off Earth. Personally, as somebody who runs a small farm in France, I want Earth fixed. I think this is our only planet, and they can bugger off to Mars if they really want to and build heavy industry. But I think it's distracting. But Clint, you're absolutely right. The big money, the super big money, and there's a lot of it around, are interested in space exploration right now.
And it seems like a big legacy thing too, right? Like this you get one chance, there's one opportunity to be the the guy who builds the communication satellite network across the solar system.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then you're Elon, you're it forever. You go down history as that guy. But no one wants to be like the fifth guy.
Sure. Well, we all remember Neil Armstrong. Name me the 7th astronaut who stepped on the moon.
Oh, I could do that. No.
You can.
Sure.
Look, guys, I want to play a quick video because I think I'm not gonna preface it. I'm just gonna play it, and you'll understand the relevance of it when I play it, and then let's discuss this here.
We just discovered a mysterious object traveling through space at 1 million miles an hour. Spotted in images from NASA's Wide Field Infrared Survey Explorer, object CY's J1249 is estimated to be nearly 30,000 times larger than Earth. It's actually traveling faster than the escape velocity of the Milky Way, meaning it will eventually make its way out into intergalactic space. But what exactly is it, and why is it moving so quickly? We aren't certain, but based on size, scientists believe it's something between a gas giant planet, like Jupiter, or a low-mass star, probably a brown dwarf. How is this object moving at such incredibly high speeds? One hypothesis is that J1249 was ejected from a binary system with a white dwarf, which exploded into a supernova when it pulled in too much material from its companion. Scientists are currently looking closer at its elemental composition to understand truly what's going on here. But maybe it's something as simple as we finally showed it what we got.
I like what you got.
If you like science and tech breakthrough,
Brilliant.
Right. And one more thing, real quick, to add on to this. Hang on. Last little thing. Where is it? Oh, right here. Is this it? Yeah, this is it. Share. Make sure that's on. Okay. Because there's other objects. What does this say? No, block. So this is talking about Apophis, right? Something, an asteroid that's heading for Earth that is going to make, I guess, there's 3 different points where it could run into Earth, right? They call it the God of Destruction. And that's interesting to me. Like I when I heard y'all's story, I start thinking of these things. Like, do you think any of this is some sort of,
I asked,
like it's this and it's not this other thing? Does that make sense? Like we're getting confused here, or people are conflating the two. Like
when I was asking around about this object that allegedly people in Congress are being briefed about, I asked specifically if it was either Apophis or if it was some event that CIA officer John Ramirez was talking about in 2027. I don't know if you guys are aware of that. I don't know if Simon is aware of that. No. They told me no. It's not either of the two. It's something different. And they told me that it is something that was just over the last year.
And you're saying this was discovered by James Webb, and what Simon is talking about was not discovered by James Webb.
No, because Simon is talking about the radio signatures from SETI. That is one thing. The other thing is different.
This James Webb thing.
But James Webb, what they told me is that James Webb confirmed both things.
Oh, that's so you're saying James Webb confirmed Simon's
the radio signatures from SETI and the other thing. Yeah.
Got it. Okay. I mean, I'm just trying to understand all this. I don't know what's headed for Earth now. I'm getting confused. We got asteroids. We got potential objects. We got planets. I don't know. Clint and I were kind of pre-gaming on the phone before this, and he asked me a great question that I want to bring up, because he was like, "Didn't James Webb discover some sort of biosignatures, right? That were kind of over the last couple of years. I think specifically, I remember covering on the channel around the new year because more stories had come out about it. And I think they were just going to do more study, double checking the data, trying to get it peer reviewed. And, does this have anything to do with it? Is it, you think it's connected in some way?
Sorry, I should have mentioned that earlier. Yeah, James Webb can do spectrum analysis on, from light reflected off a planet. James Webb's fantastic. It can spot exoplanets, and in such detail that we can actually get a light reflected back in IR. I know it's infrared. And we can get a spectrum. And a group in Cambridge have found a potential biosignature on an exoplanet. And it has been peer reviewed, and they need more detail. It's all more detail.
Wow.
So it's true.
more, which is great. But there's something we're building off of, right? That's the key. There's something there.
What's the threshold, Simon, for saying, okay, we've got enough data? What has to happen to...
That's a good question,
for someone to come forward and make a
brilliant question. That is the nub of it, Clint, because personally, I've been told that BLC1 and the other candidates are real, right? But we're not hearing about it. Why? And they're saying, ooh, it's low information zone, or it needs peer reviewed. We need more detail. I think there's a disconnect, which I worry about, which I think that you don't want to go, we found aliens, and it's not, it's a couple of rocks bonking. You actually want to find the real thing. But I worry deeply that things have been found, and it's in Congress, it's in whispers all over the world. I mean, that's what I got. I got whispers from a European radio astronomer who said, you need to look at BLC1. I went, ooh, what's that? And he said, it's real. I went, okay. And they're not telling, and they're waiting for a moment to make it public. And I think the moment we're living in right now is that evidence is overwhelming. And I think because of the funding of Brits Who Listen, I'm being very candid here, they are going to be the ones who are going to announce the technological signature, and because they want to. But
and
so we have we have an object potentially from Pavel's story.
Yeah.
A massive object detected by James Webb that is not being made public, that potentially is being told to members of American government, Congress, staffers, whatever. Maybe potentially people in the disclosure movement have this knowledge. Then there's separately this other signal that is being seen that's a planet, right? Potentially a planet that
technological
has
signature.
Technological signature on it, meaning like electric, like when you say technological signature, what exactly do you mean by that?
Okay, sorry, I'm being a bit Mr. Science.
No.
Okay, so the universe is noisy. You get a radio telescope, Patrick, and you listen to it, and you hear, from everywhere. But what they found at this one point source is a narrowband signature in the electromagnetic frequency. It's a bit like you were on the moon with a transistor radio. You're all too young to know what they are. And you tuned it to listen to the whole of planet Earth, and you heard every radio station, every radar dish, every I Love Lucy broadcast on your radio. What that would be a technological signature coming from planet Earth. Now, to get detail of that is it really hard because it would all be jumbled up. But that's what they think they found, is that they found a planet, an exoplanet, orbiting quite a near star that is in orbit because it's Doppler shifting, and it's got a narrow band of frequencies like they have a communication device. But they're aliens. They're going to be so different from us. We don't know what they are, what they're saying. There's no detail in it. But if we can confirm that their planet is buzzing with a signature or with light, lasers, then that is evidence of a extraterrestrial technological signature, which would be amazing.
Okay.
This makes so much sense now. I think this explains a lot. I'm gonna get my yarn and my thumbtacks, and I'm gonna start to make some.
Oh,
Yes,
good,
get
good,
the board.
good.
Get the board going, Clint.
Look,
so
we've been
is Pavel's object is that one headed towards Earth?
It's not mine. It's not mine.
Pavel's like, no, it's
sorry.
yours, Pavel.
Yeah.
No, you own it now. You broke the internet. This is yours.
Exactly.
Not mine.
We'll call Pavel.
We'll call it Pavel. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, we'll call it Pavel. Is the object you mentioned, is it headed towards Earth? I'm sorry.
So if you've got a technosignature, a biosignature, James Webb has confirmed these. We have this probably from multiple sources. And you've got somebody like a Carl Nell with 20 years at Lockheed Martin and Northrop Grumman and, you know, the professional level experience to be in a position to know something before the rest of us.
Yeah.
And if you really wanted to get into position before that knowledge came out, it would be a really great thing to you know, maybe shuffle your investments, look at your Wall Street portfolio, start thinking about,
make
you know,
moves, right?
If the announcement's
absolutely.
coming anyway, right? Like if it's coming anyway, and you're on the inside, and you know that there is a, I'm just gonna, here we go on the UFO thing. If there is a crash retrieval, recovery, reverse engineering program, and you're sitting on technology that you've been working on for 75 years, and you know that in the next decade they're going to come forward and say it's real, they're out there, we can see them, we can start to talk to them now. Wouldn't you want to be ready to commercialize all of that technology that's been classified in these SAP programs and bring it out and start to deploy it?
But
So
hang on,
maybe-
I got to get Pavel to answer. Is it headed towards Earth?
What is being said is that the trajectory is towards Earth, but it course corrected a few times. It deviated and then it course corrected. That's what's being said.
Fuck. Okay, but Clint, I agree with everything you just said.
Yeah,
Well, what
I
if,
do
if
too.
it's a ship, like in V? Remember V?
But doesn't it bring up the question though of like, right? We're being told there's X amount of species on Earth already, ultra terrestrials, we're time traveling. Like, does this signal even matter? We have craft here. The aliens are here flying around right now. What is this? Does that make sense? Like, it starts to, the stories start to like not add up here.
Simon, are you familiar with the? I'm sorry to put you on the spot, but with Eamon Ansbrough's work,
No.
he's the Irish astronomer who is talking about that. He's looked at this for I think it was 20 years.
Yeah. Suddenly, Eamon. Yeah. I know.
Eamon,
yeah,
sorry.
Sure. Yeah.
And that there's some kind of a pattern to some of these sightings that seems to emerge.
I mean, the thing that drives me as a French citizen, a French resident and a Scottish citizen, is that, and Pavel is living in a country that totally agrees with this. Britain said UAPs are real in 1990. France said UAPs and UFOs are real. Italy, Brazil, Mexico, you know, the only country that is still debating whether the little buggers are actually there is the United States. Why? That's my question. You know, you can read full disclosure in other countries of the world. There are anomalous objects flying around everywhere. They are being studied. They are being weaponized. You know, you've all heard in the flying saucer community, I'm sorry, I'm being very disrespectful, the UFO community, the 5 observables. Why? Who said those and where did they come from? That's the military. They don't have one. They want to know by how they work, how they can reproduce that technology. That's gone on for decades. I mean, literally, if you go back to SDI and Star Wars, they were looking at non-human technology or advanced physics that are so advanced that you wonder where they came from. There's more out there than you can possibly imagine right now. And UAPs are real.
Yep.
So they could be connected, right? Like this object that's coming could be like Independence Day stuff, like it's the big mothership coming, maybe, or something. I don't know. I guess it's just it's hard for me to wrap my brain around a lot of this.
In the UAP UFO community, there's, I mean, maybe that's where the disconnect is in this conversation. It's like there is a buildup. There seems to be some kind of crescendo of messaging, and this goes back to, I think it was the slide that Carl Nell showed at the Soul Foundation presentation that had a timetable on it, and it said, we need to get this information out and disseminated by, I think it was 2030 or 2035, something along those lines, to avoid catastrophic disclosure. And so when we're hearing talk of James Webb confirming signs of life, technosignatures, biosignatures, I think UFO disclosure people are hearing that and going, "Oh, this is it. This is why they're doing it all now. This is why the ramp up is happening. This is why they could just leave it alone, like they've done for 50 years. They don't. No one has to be talking about this in Congress, and yet they are. Bipartisan legislation is being written.
Hearings.
That's interesting.
Hearings are happening. It's because it's coming out into the open in the United States that makes it such a big deal, because we're all sitting around scratching our heads going, why is this happening right now? What is pushing this? It's very
so
strange.
you're saying potentially, Clint, that we have recovered technology, we've recovered craft, we've been trying to reverse engineer it, and they're like, okay, let's keep this secret, and then the science community doing its own research right out in space starts to come across these things with better tools, and now they've uncovered something, and so the people within this secret programs or whatever are like, oh wait, they're about to announce ET anyway, so now we can sort of meet together and create a form of disclosure, right? A plan to kind of come out together, if you will. Yes, there's signatures out there, we detected it, but guess what? We also got this. Is that kind of what you think, maybe?
Guess what? And then they open the garage door at Lockheed Martin and they're like, we've got a brand new anti-gravity craft that we just decided to declassify. Check it out. It can go from here to Mars in 15 minutes. Wouldn't you like to book your flight today? It's possible. It's possible. Sure. But even if it's not that, even if it's
I'm doing this because I think it's been happening for decades. And that's just my opinion. There's so much like raw data and accounts from different scientists who have either disappeared or perished, who made some kind of breakthrough and then they went dark, or they died under mysterious circumstances. And it's been the talk of the town for decades that no, it's impossible, we can't do that, nobody on earth has those capabilities, and yet there is mysterious stuff happening to people who are studying this. So what is it? Well,
that's my point.
Sorry.
Go ahead, Simon. Sorry.
A tiny bit of history, which I think is incredibly relevant to all this, is Albert Einstein scrawled on a blackboard a thought equation, which was E equals mc squared. E equals mc squared. It was just a fantasy of energy and matter being interrelated. It was turned into a practical nuts and bolts atomic bomb by the Manhattan Project. And the military went, that's amazing. We have advanced physics that ended the World War II. We want to stay on that cutting edge. Ever since World War II, ever since the Manhattan Project, the leading source of research for military science is physics. And they had stealth aircraft in the 1950s. A British Vulcan V bomber dropped a virtual bomb physically, but didn't drop one, over New York in 1962, because it was a stealth plane, because they already had metamaterials and stealth coating. They understood that. Whatever you think is around today in the military is actually at least 20 to 50 years more advanced than you possibly think. And the big thing that they're looking at is quantum mechanics and time travel. Absolutely.
Let's go, y'all. Let's go, y'all. Oh,
and
my
gravity
gosh.
control. That's been a very hot level of. There's been a lot of research into that that's been classified for decades.
Sure.
Oh, you're going straight into my department. This is great. So here we go. Gravity is. I just had Jack Sarfati, who is a leading but rather interesting physicist, in my house. Yeah. And he said something that I'd heard from somebody else, is gravity is not a force. Think of the fire triangle. Heat, fuel, and oxygen. And you need the three to make a fire. To make gravity, you need space, mass, you need space, mass, and time. And the byproduct of distorting space with mass is gravity. And if you alter any of them, if you can make something enormously massive, you alter time. You also alter gravity. And that's what they're really doing. I don't think there's an anti-gravity. Wow. I don't think anti-gravity exists. I think to make things repel a gravitational field and float up in the air, you do it by altering time and space. You warp space. And that's what I hear from people like Project Green Glow. That was a British aerospace project done by British Aerospace Systems. I mean, they were not building anti-gravity. They were looking at altering time.
Like time dilation? Is that what we mean? That kind of time travel?
Totally.
Got it.
If you imagine if you had a tank that had a time dilation bubble around it, and you had a man with a bazooka, I'm old, and the tank's going along and it goes in the bazooka sights, and you fire the bazooka, and instead the tank's actually 1 second ahead, you'll never hit it.
Is that what I heard about Dr. Hal Puthoff being involved in this kind of stuff?
Absolutely. Well done.
Oh.
There was a clip. Did anybody else see this clip of Russell Targ talking about Wernher von Braun funding the remote viewing research? It actually came from him at SRI.
Right.
Yeah. And there's like 3 different groups that are working on this. Puthoff is involved in all 3 of them. One of them is I think it's already extinct, the Aviary. The other one is the Invisible College. And the other one, which is the one with the contracts, and the more secretive one, is the Advanced Physics Group. Right. Yeah. And Puthoff is involved in all 3 of them.
In all 3.
I hear the same. Yeah. Right.
Yeah. No, that's okay.
And the funding is endless. I mean, you can get funding for that kind of research. And that's one of the things that a lot of these UFO disclosure people want. Ultimately, they want to channel funding into their projects.
They want to be first in line.
They're all connected. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Pavel, let me ask you a question. Because if I listen to this whole live stream, okay, if I'm in the audience and I watch this whole thing with all of us, I think my biggest question would still be to you, right? Which would just be asking, how confident are you that it's true that there is an object detected by James Webb that's headed towards Earth that is massive? Like how confident are you in that, not in that information you got from your source?
More than confident, it's like I'm weary that this information is being passed around. I don't know if it's true. I know that it is being passed around. Sure. That I'm confident of.
Sure.
But I want to know their motive for talking about this and why it's being like urgently communicated.
Do you feel that information is being weaponized to some extent?
I don't know. It is possible. Because
is this tied to what Lou was saying on Matt's show?
Yeah, it is.
Right. You think those 2 things are the same thing?
Is that confirmed, or you think it is?
I asked, and I didn't get a no. I can't talk about it.
That's so
Can
weird.
Can you say
man.
who you asked, or like
No.
Matt or Lou?
No, I can't say.
I mean, it would have to be Lou.
All right.
He's the only one to confirm or deny that.
I mean, that whole conversation was just
There's
so
a whole group.
weird.
There's a whole group that knows about this, Patrick. It's not just them 2, you know.
Right.
So you think Matt does know about it? Matt Ford knows about this. Okay.
Yeah.
Which is why he asked the question, essentially. Yeah. Okay. That's interesting. That's interesting. Yeah. I got to say, that's Simon, what do you think about this object that's potentially headed for Earth, this massive
Nothing's going to get into our solar system without raising every alarm bell on Earth, military and and scientific.
Sure.
If it's a long way out, it'll take some finding, but also if it's a long way out, it's going to take a long time to get here. The best source of things that are, in the technical term, is non-trivial impactors on Earth is the Minor Planet Society in Boston. I'll share a link with you, Patrick, and you can look up in the future anything which appears in orbit, mainly asteroids, and you can see if they're going to hit Earth. But something interstellar like Oumuamua and something way out there coming towards us and changing trajectory is fascinating.
I agree.
What is it? I don't know. I'll ask around.
Corrected itself, right? Essentially is what Pablo said, right? Like it corrected itself potentially, right? Allegedly.
Well, I mean, that's fascinating. We've heard this rumor has been around.
This day would come, though, right? This day would come, right? We cannot be alone in the universe. So the fact that this is even being talked about shouldn't be seen as crazy. Like, it's not so crazy to think there's other life on a planet like ours. We have reference for it, us and all the life on this planet. So the idea that we would see these signatures or goats, right? Yeah, exactly. There are cosmic goats out there.
There
are. So I don't think it's that crazy that there would be an object headed towards Earth or in this vicinity. What my biggest question would be, does that object know we're here? Like like we're the destination, or it's just something we're seeing, if that makes sense. I don't know. I find that fascinating, because how would they have that information? But again, there's a lot of theories out there that we're communicating with NHI now, where the head of Israel's space program came out and said, there's a galactic federation that we're a part of. And we've got agreements with this non-human intelligence. Again, if I'm listening to all this, I'm thinking, is that connected? And is this techno signature that I do feel James Webb is going to be the thing that publicly finds something and gets announced? Is that all connected?
I just saw something, real small parenthesis, that they said that I look scared on the chat. I'm not scared. I'm angry, because I shouldn't be talking about this. The people who are more qualified and the ones who have the credentials, they're the ones who should be talking about this to the public, not me.
Patrick, it's really important to your viewers right now is that you're not going to hear this on CNN. You're not going to hear this on the BBC if you're European, or your own countries. You're going to hear this coming from scientists who actually want to tell people like Pavel and myself and Clint and Patrick about. You're going to hear about it on social media. Everybody, stay tuned, because I'm actually at risk, with the number of things that I'm actually saying. I get pilloried by my peers. I come from a broadcast science background, but I'm prepared to put my neck on the line, because I know there's stuff out there that needs to be exposed, and it's going to come out on social media, somewhere on one of our sister channels. Somebody's going to get the real information.
Well, and that's what we keep hearing in the UFO community. We hear it again and again. Like Lou Elizondo is like practically blinking Morse code and trying to like communicate to us that they're here, or there's something about to happen. He asked a direct question: is there some kind of an event coming within the next decade? His answer is, that's not my conversation to have.
I know about it, and I can't talk about. That's
and it's not just him. If it just him, that'd be one thing, but it's also retired CIA John Ramirez. It's John Lear was talking about something back in 1989. A bunch of people have been talking about something that is forcing all of this motion to happen, all this activity.
Yeah,
and it's like his book is called Imminent. Like like how much more?
Yeah.
I think someone in Reddit the other day, they said he wrote a message on the bottom of his coffee cup, and he was like, and he kind of like,
yeah, and he looked like directly at the camera when he was doing it.
Funny. That's funny.
I love it. I love it.
We're all just waiting for the other shoe to drop.
No,
we
this
live
is,
in interesting times. I mean, they're out there. There's definitely UAP here on Earth. People see them all the time. They're being studied, and it's just a matter of time till us little bunnies build a big enough telescope, James Webb radio telescopes, to actually say, "Oh, hi, friends, you're out there too." It's going to come very soon. I know it.
I think
All
the
right.
NRO already has classified toys that are way better than James Webb, to be honest with you, and other agencies too.
That's interesting. The amount of effort that went into James Webb is kind of insane for decades.
Also, the Pentagon hasn't passed audits in 5 years. So,
Hey, Phil Corso said they were looking at building the Army was looking at building a moon base back in the 60s. They had it all sketched out. They knew exactly how they had the small nuclear reactors all picked out.
They built one, Clint. They built one.
Did they?
Yeah, no, they built one. They built the exact replica of the moon base down to the final bolt and the small nuclear reactor in the Arctic. And it was there. Funny. Yeah, they built it because they knew it was a copy of what they were wanting to build on the moon, but they didn't do it.
It's funny how much stuff they didn't do. Isn't that weird?
Yeah.
They just don't do any of this stuff. We're just spitballing in the office.
I think it's time I bring up this tweet I've been saving. This is from Jeremy Corbell.
Okay.
This came out, I guess, after I had posted that I was doing this stream with y'all. Okay. He tweets out, the best momentum towards understanding will be multiple angles of truth on the UAP subject. Telescopes discovering potential environments conducive to, quote, life is only one piece to a larger mosaic of the UAP puzzle. I suspect when it's public, NHI is not such a distant conundrum. And then he puts a little gif here from Apocalypse Now. It says, I love the smell of napalm in the morning. I love that. It's awesome.
Yeah.
I found that interesting, and then I invited Jeremy to the live chat. I haven't been looking at the live chat the whole time, so I don't know if he came. He has come before, which is why I invited him. But that's interesting, right? That's
why the napalm clip, though. Come on, Jeremy, you're scaring people. What's going on here?
Well, there's no way to not be scared by that. If you know what I mean. There's nothing you could. It's not fear or not fear. It's just like. The unknown is scary regardless. That's just life in general. So,
but let me make
this
point.
Information it's going to
let me make this point though, because I think it's important. I come from a sports journalism background, and MMA fighters, the first thing they teach them is when they're in the octagon, they get in there to get the shit beat out of them. They can't go in there scared. They need to be calm and prepared. And these kind of messaging is not that. It's acting out of fear or trying to project some kind of fear. And I think it's not proactive to do that. We need to be cautious, but not scared. That's what makes everything like go ape left. You know, it's.
But don't you think that depends on what the information is, though? I mean,
that's what I want to know.
If you're on the Titanic and you're in a room with no windows, and some people are acting really weird, and you're like starting to notice, at some point you kind of have to get concerned and just go, okay, well, let me just go up top and see what's going on. Yeah, I don't think that it, you know, I don't know that it's. Do you think that's what it is, though? Fear mongering?
That's what I want to know, because if they are like sending these messages, what do they know that we don't, that is making them do this, is what I want to know.
When you say they, who do you mean?
Jeremy, all other people from that group that is doing this kind of stuff. I also saw a video, an edit from the movie Don't Look Up, combined with the Lou Elizondo interview on The Daily Show.
All right.
And they're two different things. One thing is an asteroid coming our way. The other thing is supposed to be alien contact. Why do they combine those two?
Yeah.
I don't think that's the right message. That's all I mean.
That we're going to, one way or another, within the near future, as a civilization, for the first time, we will be in the presence of beings that are superior to us. And I don't think we really appreciate what that means. I don't think we can ever really understand until it's over with, and then it'll be too late. Whether it's non-human intelligence coming from another planet or coming from this planet emerging again, or it's artificial intelligence or super intelligence. Once the game, once a player that is so far superior to us has entered this game, there will never be any coming back from that. There's no, you'll never know if you really have freedom, ever. And it's especially weird that these two things seem to be happening at the same time. And I often wonder to myself, and on the channel we talk about it a lot, is there a connection between the fact that we see increasing activity vis-a-vis the UAP, UFO disclosure movement, and it seems to coincide with this really rapid development in artificial intelligence, where we have people from the at best universities in the world, top researchers, best in their field, top of their game at this entire field, saying we should really slow down. This is starting to get a little frightening, how fast it's getting away from us. And I also find it concerning that it's about a dozen billionaires who get to make all these decisions about what's going to happen to the rest of us at this critical moment in our history. And it's a very strange time.
Yeah, that's a good point. No, AI around the corner and its implications, how it could get out of hand is definitely a concern. Ray Kurzweil, I follow sort of his predictions, and according to him, and he's been pretty spot on since he predicted this stuff from the 90s, it's just around the corner. Before the end of the decade, that singularity, if you will happen, or AI will surpass us in intelligence, and not just knowledge base, right? Where it can just a whole different form of intelligence.
And think about what that means, right? Like if you're a non-human intelligence and you're observing humanity on Earth and you're looking at our technological development, nuclear weapons are one thing, and that's scary. It's like a gorilla with an AK-47. But when you create an artificial super intelligence that can recursively self-improve and has 30,000 years of progress for every 7 days of real time that we experience, you have now built the first Star Trek movie is about this. V'ger. That's what that's what V'ger is.
V'ger. Yeah, exactly. Right? No, completely. I mean, and is there a tipping point where an ET group out there are monitoring us little babies, us little apes, and they say, I think our probe, which is orbiting the sun, which is the most likely place for it, or on the moon, is now detecting that these weird Earthlings are now getting AI, and we're also becoming interstellar. We are talking about communicating. We might need to do something about it.
Well, Kurzweil specifically made a reference to this in one of his many YouTube talks that he did, and he said something that was related to the singularity, but not to UFOs. But I'm going to connect them. And he said, once we reach the singularity, it would be possible, using relatively limited technology, to colonize the entire galaxy in a very short period of time with von Neumann probes. Yeah. Well, if I'm an NHI, that concerns me. I'm very concerned.
That would concern you. Yeah, exactly.
And I would be looking for those techno-signatures on Earth, or I would have people there, maybe, and I would try to be gathering intelligence on that. And then if I'm observing this planet and I have probes and I have AI looking at it, and there's going to come a decision point where something has to happen. You have to intervene or not, or you have to, like, whatever you're going to do, you're going to have a closing window.
Welcome to the club, or bonk. Yeah, exactly.
Either you get to join the Federation, or you're
out.
You're out.
What about this theory that the non-human intelligence has been waiting for us to create this super intelligence of AI to start communicating with us?
Well, they might if they're friendly. Yeah, exactly. I mean, they're going to be smarter than us. The other amazing thing that I think a lot of people don't realize is that we are newcomers in the history of the universe. Earth and our solar system, our sun and our planet, and very much us, emergent life on this planet, are very, very, very young. And
we're in diapers.
Yeah, total diapers. Pavel, you're absolutely right. But the ETs who have existed probably reached our level, millions of years ago. I mean, the amount of development that they will have gone through, or their extermination, is let's not be too Earth-centered here. Let's not be the Vatican. Let's look at Galileo. The universe does not center on planet Earth. I mean, there's a lot of stuff out there for a long time. And they're watching us, I'm sure.
Yeah, and the same thing happens with science and physics, that it's up to date to what we understand right now, but it keeps evolving alongside us. And that's going to keep happening as time goes by.
We're babies. The
latest ChatGPT update is already 90% more intelligent than the rest of humanity.
Oh, yeah.
Think about that.
I'm in that 10%, y'all. Just letting y'all know.
Me too.
And how many days? We're counting in days now. How many days did it take them to go from the previous version to the new version? Because it's not even years anymore.
Yeah,
you're right.
We're talking months.
It's an exponential growth, right?
Which is what people are having a hard time with. Like, we are already at the point where we have AI that's better than I use Star Trek as the go-to comparison, but better than the computer in Star Trek by a lot.
Yeah.
Sure.
What I hear is that everybody is assuming, you think of a hockey stick, that we're assuming that AI is coming. AI is about round the corner. But what you don't effing realize, it's a hockey stick. And we've gone round the corner years ago, and we're somewhere up there on the hockey stick. There's no going back. We're on that rise through AI, and it's already here. And we need to utilize it and control it. Or it will control us eventually.
And that's a great point, because if we were to say, okay, NHI is, they've been around millions of years. Well, let's compare humans. What were we like millions of years ago, right? It's not that big a difference, but it is a difference. But the real change has been in the last few thousand years, and it's been this growth. I mean, the last couple hundred years have been absolutely transformative, right? In a way that humanity never got. And that's where that growth starts to happen. And it's kind of one of these things that you cannot put the toothpaste back in the tube.
Look at 100 years ago, 1924. And now we're talking about quantum tunneling communications systems on Mars. And that's not... It's not drawing board stuff. It's actually, they're experimenting on this. This is unbelievable.
Sure.
Absolutely.
Sure.
They might be terrified of us getting off of our planet, whoever the
Oh, they will. I love Avi Loeb's quote. He says, if you showed that's my time in France. If you showed a caveman an iPhone, they would look at it and go, oh, I don't know what it is. It's a shiny rock. And that's what, when we see a lot of non-human intelligence and technology, the UAP specifically, and metamaterials that we're finding, haven't got a clue what it is. It's like, okay, it's a Oumuamua could easily be, a very sophisticated device. It just looked like a red rock to us, but using that same analogy, that's what a caveman would say if they showed them an iPhone. They've got no idea what it could be.
Absolutely. Yeah, you're right. That's absolutely. No, this is fascinating.
Great
this
chat.
Is fascinating. Is there anything we haven't? I want to get to see if we can answer some questions that are in the chat. But if anything, as I get this going here, please, everyone in the chat, put your questions in all caps for Simon, Pavel, Clint. And we'll see what we can get answered, or just in general. Do y'all have any other comments that we left out, or you wanted to make sure you got out? I don't want, want to make sure everyone gets any thoughts that they have.
No, it was really good. I mean, Pavel, thank you for releasing that information about James Webb, and that's really interesting. And I think we should all look at, not personally, Chris, who's Gary?
Do you know who that is, Simon? Gary Rowe?
No. It's probably I think I met him in the pub. No, I'm joking. I have no idea who he is. Sorry.
Here's another question. Do you think that this is related to all the billionaires subtly building bunkers?
Oh, yeah.
Possibly.
Possibly.
It's possible,
I mean,
yeah.
who's to say, right?
Robert,
if you're rich, you would do it
Schmigolo.
anyway. You would do it anyway, right? If you were rich.
Schmigolo.
Yeah,
Okay,
Schmigolo.
Robert Schmigolo, not to be confused with the billionaire of a similar name, but Robert Bigelow on New Thinking Aloud, Jeffrey Mishlub's podcast, did a great interview a few months back, and he had a group of remote viewers. And I actually spoke with Daz Smith on my channel about. He alluded to the same conversation, I think. I don't want to make that connection, but he said in the interview with Jeffrey Mishlub, Bigelow said they had a group of remote viewers that they tasked with looking at the next 10 to 15 years going out into the near future. And what they were looking for were developments in the medical device field, other investment thing they were trying to find. And what the remote viewers found was there was a wall or some kind of a barrier that they couldn't see past. They weren't able to go past a certain point. Now, this sounds very strange, but it came from Robert Bigelow, so I'm taking it a little more seriousy than I would if it just came off of Reddit. And you can go watch this interview. He says that he's very concerned. His whole demeanor is like, the future is very weird. It's going to get really weird. That's kind of how the takeaway. And I wonder, it just. The weird sciences, like the remote viewing stuff, the UAP stuff, all of these things seem to be converging in unexpected ways. It's just very strange.
Sure.
Yeah.
No, I think you have to. Something I have just begun to look at remote viewing and speaking to Russell Targ and obviously Jat Sarfati about it, and now this week Uri Geller about it. And the one thing that I learned, and you're absolutely right, I didn't realize that remote viewing also looked through time. It's not just distance. So they can look and predict the future or look into the past. It makes sense. That's how it works, obviously.
Sure. No, it's interesting.
I just got shared today a very interesting paper looking at the physics of remote viewing that says it's real. I mean, you can actually measure, coming from a science background, I'm going, oh, that's good. It's not just men staring at goats. It's actually there's actually physics behind it. So, I'm
actually going to release a more detailed explanation of a paper that Dr. Jacobo Greenberg did. My friend Ida Cuellar, who is a director in Spain, he just released some unseen material of the scientists who were working with him on the transferred potential experiment that has to do with quantum entanglement and non-locality between human minds. So I'm going to do a video tomorrow or maybe later today because it's kind of long about this. So I'm going to send it to you so you can check it out.
Yeah.
I love it.
What is the great hope for the future of humanity? Oh yeah, you should all go out and buy goats. Really, I mean, I think that having more goats and we have 5 sheep and 2. No, I don't know. I'm really, really, really hopeful that we go and meet our neighbors really fast. They're only down the street, and we need to be nice to them and learn stuff from them, and hopefully they like us. That's my hope for humanity.
Yeah.
Well said, Simon. Could this planet-sized object? We're gonna go quick through these questions, guys. Okay, we got to answer quick. Okay, like Simon just did. Perfect. Could this planet-sized object be a space ferry to save humanity from incoming space rocks, aka Apophis? Yeah, I'm with Simon. Maybe.
No, we don't know.
Right? There's no way to know that. But that's an interesting question.
I want to know what it is
sure.
really first. Yeah.
Me too. I'm with you. Is this what Pines was referring to? Matthew Pines had said something about a coup de grace, someone in the news coming out. I don't think this is it, personally, because he's talking about an actual person coming out. Who in Congress was possibly briefed? That's an interesting question.
I am going to get more information on that over the next 10 days or so.
Okay.
Because my contact is going to Washington and try to, he told me that I'm going to get you to talk to them, their names of the people who spoke to me, but they can't be on camera or they got to protect their names publicly, but you're going to know their names so you can release the information. As soon as that happens, I'm going to do a video.
Love it, Pavel. Well, go subscribe to Pavel's channel now so you have that update, y'all.
definitely.
Ooh, Simon, this would be interesting to get your thoughts on this.
Yeah,
Any
so
thoughts about Ashton Forbes, low energy nuclear reactions, plasma physics, Bob Greener, Ken Shoulders?
I've interviewed Ashton a number of times, and I think he's really interesting. He's an extremely smart cookie, and I had so many doubts after seeing pretty good CGI debunking of the MH370 flight, especially by the corridor crew, who pretty well matched it to a piece of CGI, library footage. I mean, that's my job. I'm a film editor. But the more I look at it, the more doubts that I get that it was actually constructed, the footage that he keeps showing of the orbs and the plane. There's certain aspects of it that any prankster probably just wouldn't bother doing. I noticed, and I pointed this out to Ashton, as the orbs are actually orbiting the vapor trail, the contrail of the aircraft, you can actually see a shadow that goes before and behind the vapor trail. Now, and also turbulence in the trail as they are causing turbulence in the trail. Some kid in their bedroom making a fake video wouldn't do that. Is it real? I don't know. I keep on hearing odd hints about things disappearing. That I have no idea. Ashton is so good, and he'll get to the bottom of it. Or it's all rubbish. Who knows?
No, love it. I've had Ashton on a couple of times myself. I agree.
Sure.
At first, I was not down with it, and Ashton and I had some issues. But I'm with you. I've sort of like, wait a second. The more he uncovers, that's the thing. Ashton has just like uncovered so much with that event, right? With the flight itself, it's too hard to not look away and take it seriously, to be honest with you.
And his low energy stuff. I mean, I think he was slightly foolish coming out with almost a product on back of his podcast. I mean, in my humble opinion, I think his real focus is on the MH370, and I think what he's done is fantastic.
Agreed.
But he is very open-minded, and he's asking the question: if it is true, what would produce that effect? And that's the rabbit holes he's gone down with John Goodyear. Yeah.
And also, if it's fake, it's such a sophisticated.
That's
fake.
my point. Yeah.
It's almost more interesting to find out who would fake that and why.
And it was done really quickly after the actual crash. I mean, it was they filmed the video, and it's a film off a monitor. You can see a cursor, and it's whoever did it made sure you couldn't see the border with the telemetry on it. Whoever did it, if it is fake, is genius. I don't know.
And the stereoscopic video too, connected with the other infrared. I mean, it's everything around it is so strange. No, absolutely. I'm with y'all. Sorry, I took away a slide. Why none of these whistleblowers, if they have nothing to hide, take a polygraph test?
Because it wouldn't matter. It wouldn't matter. You wouldn't believe it anyway, even if they did. Yeah. They've been doing polygraph tests for decades. Go back to the Pascagoula case. Those guys, they did a polygraph on both those guys. Did it change anything? This is the thing. Like, people are going to do this forever until someone sees a craft come out of a hangar, or they see a body, or they see an alien on TV, and it's like we all see the same thing at the same time. This is what I keep talking about. It's going to take a mass showing event, or it's going to take a signal that is confirmed by multiple universities. It's going to take something huge to get everybody on the same page. But until then, Lou can take every polygraph test in the world. It wouldn't matter. No. People are going to.
That's a good point.
Hi, Zach.
Hi,
Zach.
Simon, go ahead.
Good question, mate. AI is unbelievable. It's taking over our life. It's here now. Sorry, it's a quote from The Invasion of the Body Snatchers. No, I really think everything is AI. I now work in AI. I mean, literally. I mean, as a filmmaker, I can be AI. I mean, no, it's taking over and it's taking over the world, and we need to get a handle on it. If you work in any industry which can benefit from it, from an AI visual or text based, do it now, because you need to get on board it.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. I like that. Oh gosh. Okay. I got more.
Patrick.
Exactly.
I saw someone spamming a question that I think he seemed a little desperate, so I'm gonna answer it. They asked how far away this so-called object was.
Oh yeah.
The only thing I got from that was that it was allegedly coming here between 2033 and 2034. That's all the information that I got. So
no, that's good to know. So what is that? 10 years.
Yeah.
Essentially. Yeah. Well, I guess in 10 years we'll find out.
Yeah.
With a lot of these things, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Or we'll know sooner, right? As it gets closer, we'll have a better view of it,
Definitely.
or more information will come out, right? I mean, if the trajectory is here, but if they know that the object would be here by that time, that means they are saying it's headed for Earth.
And if the information is true, that the one they're talking about in Congress, if it is true, if they're not using this information to weaponize something or do whatever.
Watch their trades.
Yeah.
Sure.
Watch their picks, their Wall Street picks.
Yeah, we have to be slightly careful, again, putting my astronomy hat on, is that Earth isn't in a fixed space. Not only are we corkscrewing round in our orbit, we're also corkscrewing round and pirouetting. And
in the solar system,
the whole of the solar system is moving on the galactic plane. So I mean, you'd have to ask AI, but to predict where Earth's exact point of Omaha, Nebraska is going to be in 2034, Patrick, I think you're pretty safe to go and shop at Walmart. I mean, I think
I agree.
I mean, but of course they're smart, aren't they? Because they're non-human intelligence. I don't know, but
why aren't they using that instant travel? Right?
Yeah.
Like, where's the instant travel they have? Why are they?
Maybe they are.
Maybe it's a cruise. It's a space cruise, right?
Yeah.
They're stopping like in Cozumel. They're gonna do a little shopping here on Earth on their way to the next planet. Can you ask Simon his thought on why UFOs, UAPs are seen around nuclear power stations or nuclear military vehicles? I gotta go to the bathroom real quick. So Simon, I'm gonna leave.
Oh yeah, just Oh, Chris James, why are you asking me this? Christopher James. No, I mean, you're just going to jump on me. I don't think they are. I think that a lot of very highly classified nuclear power station, nuclear storage, missile silo sites have eyes in the sky. And I think there's an awful lot more. I think you could correlate and see UFOs over McDonald's if there was people on the roof of McDonald's watching, in my humble opinion. Now, why would they be interested in nuclear energy? I think they're possibly, or nuclear power. I think it's possible that I'm wrong, and that there is an interest in nuclear sites because everything nuclear actually emits neutrinos, and I think the source of neutrinos, a concentrated bubble of it, which they're finding by the neutrino detector in the Antarctic ice cube, is a potential very advanced technology. So maybe an AI, a probe, a non-human intelligent probe, is non-manned, is looking at places on Earth where there's a neutrino source. That's my only explanation. I think, one, it's a coincidence and there's more people looking, or two, it might be true and it's something to do with neutrinos, Chris. Thanks for asking.
Yeah, great question, Chris. Real quick, before I get to the next question, just because this, I'm going to bring something up here. Something that's brand new that just came out in the community. I think a lot of people would be very interested in it. It's called the UFO Timeline. It's a project coming out by a gentleman named Chupacabra. That's his online moniker. It's a great thing. I put the link down in the description. Go check it out. It's called the UFO Timeline. it's separating everything by cases and craft and all this stuff. It's a huge project that's he's putting together, and I think it'll be a great resource for anybody wanting to learn more about. Right? Isn't that cool?
Is it global? Yeah.
Yeah. It's global.
Cool.
It's
well done,
sick.
Chupacabra. Yeah.
Yes.
Great.
Yes.
Great.
Chupacabra, you called him?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's it. Chupacabra.
Oh, Chupacabra. All right. Sorry.
Chupacabra. Like
it's a mix
Tupac
between
Shakur.
Tupac Shakur and the Chupacabra.
Yeah.
But it's a really cool project, and I recommend
beautiful
people check
graphics.
it out. Yeah, it's going to be awesome. It's honestly, it's so cool to use. I've been able to use it behind the scenes, and I honestly can't even believe it exists. It's going to be a great resource, and I hope other resources like this pop up for other things,
very good.
you know, other whatever it may be or whatever. So I thought that was kind of appropriate for what we were just talking about. All right, let me get another question here, y'all. So again, go check this out. Links in the description. I am not being paid to promote this. Just
cool.
something that I found. Yeah, it was really cool.
Yeah.
All right, here we got Chad Cantrell. I think I'm saying that right. Do you believe these candidates are part of a collective headed towards Earth? Oh, that's interesting, Simon. The 5 candidates, are they in different spots, like across?
Yeah, they are. Okay, so SETI at Home shared radio telescope data with as a screensaver. You might have had it, and they did multiple scans because it was so popular. And a tiny, most of them came up with no, but occasionally one would come up with maybe. And those maybes, by clever parsing of the SETI at Home, clever parsing of the data, an Italian statistician, not an astronomer, found 5 candidates. Where they are, they're all close. They're all within our galaxy, and they're relatively close. Again, Andrew from Breakthrough Listen said one of the reasons that they're very interested in BLC1, Breakthrough Listen Candidate 1, is because it's close enough to get our big ear telescopes to actually listen to it. If it was hundreds of light years away, the signal would be so faint. Plus, what's the point? You know, they've moved on by the time we could ever. So BLC1 is, I hear, quite close, maybe 4 or 5 years away.
Wow, that's I mean, that is fascinating. I have one question that's not on here. Simon, I remember doing a video about a video you did months and months ago about the SETI at Home signal that potentially had, like, if I'm saying this wrong, please correct me, alien pictures or something like that. Am I?
Yeah.
What am I talking about?
I'm going. No. All right. Okay. So the guy who shared with me the point that that the SETI at Home had found the 5 candidates, I said, as you, Patrick, and everybody on the internet said, what did they find? You know, and he said, you know, we all want to know, you know, what are they saying? And he said to me 2 things, which I kind of slightly went bleh on the internet. I said, one, they found, I'm sorry, this was just me. They found modulation. So they found it wasn't just bzzz, they found modulation. That was the first thing he said. And I said, ooh, it's the Eagles playing Hotel California. No, he said, no. The modulation might be a picture. And I went, anymore? He said, I can't tell you anymore. And I put that out as you know, I'm a brave bunny and take the flak for being a brave bunny. And I said it was a picture. They've never, you know, it's not the film Contact. They haven't found they're not showing us the I Love Lucy show back. Blueprints with how to build the machine. Yeah, no, we don't know. But it was this
still fascinating.
I think that the biggest takeaway here
I think
is
that's very fascinating.
They're not saying. They're like, I can't tell you.
Oh, yeah. Good point.
Sure. It's just
Well,
a little bit, right? It's an amuse-bouche, and then
frustrating.
from there you're like, I'm ready for the appetizer.
How would that go down, Simon? It would be the universities would the researchers would come out and make a statement, and then like what would happen? And what's the chain of events?
Well, I am so impressed. Science isn't disclosure, isn't closed, isn't secretive. Science, will share globally, and it needs to be peer reviewed. I mean, you have to kill your babies to get your paper published. I mean, that's the whole point of science. You don't jump to conclusions, and so no, it needs to come out, but it seems to be being controlled. It seems to be that they're either being wussy, which is my good word for being, wet about what they're finding, or there's some reason why it's not being globally disseminated. I mean, what Breakthrough Listen absolutely told me, and I can't say he's lying. Andrew Simeon, the head of Breakthrough Listen and SETI, Man of the Year, said, Simon, it's in the low information zone. When we get enough data, and we're still looking at it, we'll tell the world. We are not partisan to one country. We are scientists, and they haven't published it yet. So that's all I can say.
I mean, it makes sense if it's the greatest discovery in the history of mankind. It will be the greatest release of information in the history of mankind and the greatest press conference of all time, right? It would just be, you would want to make sure, you would want to make sure every I is crossed and every T is dotted, as they say.
Who were the guys back in the late 80s who said they had cracked cold fusion and they had a huge press conference? Remember this, Simon? You know what I'm talking about?
I worked on a film about it for the BBC. Yeah, no, it was fascinating. And I mean, they just went to print too early. I mean, they did definitely find an effect. There was energy produced in a system that was exothermic. It was actually making something, but it turned out that it wasn't cold fusion, and that's the problem in science. You really do want to check your facts, and in the end, it was disproven. But there might have been something in it as well. It was like, but they were a bit early going to press, I think, in cold fusion.
So this is, we don't want to repeat that with this discovery. This is going to be
right. I'm sure.
Checked and rechecked.
I'm sure they want to have firm data, but between you and I, they're looking. Yeah,
I love it. I'm fascinated. This was such a fascinating conversation today. I love it. All right, this is Monkey Boy. He says, if I purchased a robot that looked human but is obviously a machine and had a relationship with it, is it still cheating?
Ask your girlfriend.
Yes.
Ask your wife. Ask
I mean,
your partner.
that's up to you guys to decide. Don't let anyone else decide what happens in your relationship.
I think you need. Yeah, you're absolutely right. I think we are incapable of answering this because we're men.
Yeah. That's right. But on a side note, I don't recommend that. We've
all got into trouble.
This scenario here, I don't recommend that. This is an interesting question from Sabrina here. Are any signals coming from the object? The one Pablo that you're talking about. That's interesting.
I think that's the big secret, man. That's like the main thing that I want to find out. If they're being like forced or pushed to talk about this in Congress, with people in Congress, I don't know. The only assumption I can make is that they know something, some information that they're being told or something.
But look, I
wonder.
Oh, sorry. No, please.
And I wonder if it could be some sort of communication or something that is making them alarmed.
Hesitant.
A signal. Yeah.
That's as far as I can go. I don't know. This quantum tunneling stuff is fascinating, though. Makes me wonder whether that's being used.
That's what's happening. Yeah. Look, I do want to say I can understand if people in the UFO community, the heads like your Jeremy Corbells and your Luis Elizondos, I can understand why they wouldn't want to talk about this. Maybe they don't have confirmation yet. It's just something they're discussing, but they don't have all, to just come out and say this stuff. So like, I can totally understand why they're not talking about it. Right. In my opinion, like I can see that side of the coin for sure.
But if that's the case, don't ask the question on the Lou Elizondo interview.
I think they
but
are.
That's Matt Ford. That's Matt Ford as
don't tease it.
It was a live stream.
Matthew Pines has said, and he just said this on the what was that other podcast that he did that was really good. It was the I can't remember the name of it, but it was very good. He just did a long interview the other day, and he said that there is a plan to disclose. It's just step by step, piece by piece. You're going to see more things are going to be dripping out. And if you look him up and you actually look into his background, it's like, tell me you work for the CIA without telling me you work for the CIA. This guy is talking about a disclosure timeline that's going to play itself out.
Yeah.
I think we're just seeing that. And when Lou says it's not my conversation to have, he's not saying no. He's not saying there's no event. He's saying it's not my conversation to have. That's going to be the president probably or somebody else.
I mean, I don't know how you answer that any other way than he did. Again, it's a live stream. He's put on the spot, asked that question. I mean, you know what I mean?
We're live stream right now in the best way he could, though.
Exactly. I don't know how you can't stop the live stream. I mean, we were all on a live stream today. I'm sure some of us.
But that's not what he did, though. That's the thing. It's like he didn't just go, well, I don't know, man. I don't know. You're gonna have to wait and see. He went, I'm aware of that. That is not my conversation to have. And he pauses. He has like a little pregnant pause there, and he kind of thinks about it and goes, yeah, that's not my conversation to have. And he kind of does one of these.
Yeah, I think he was thinking maybe I'm going to expand on again, I have no clue. I'm not in this brand, I'm whatever. I just think you're in live streams, you're getting asked questions. It's hard to, if you don't have a prepared answer, right? You're just kind of speaking off the cuff, and just a little wiggle room for him is all I'm saying of being able to answer some of this stuff. But I don't know. At the end of the day, who knows?
I kind of slightly disagree. I actually think that he might know something, and that it isn't his job. I mean, I think the world community needs to get together and work out. We don't really want, what is it? Disastrous disclosure, whatever the term is.
Catastrophic
disclosure. Yeah. I mean, in my opinion, you want, for a science background, you want confirmation, and I think in the end we need things that are real, that we can see, and data that we can actually talk about sensibly and have it really explained to us. And that's not Lou Elizondo's conversation. I think it's somebody else.
Yeah. No, for sure. Why does our view? Totally agree, Simon. Why does our view of the sky not change then? Our view of the sky does change. What are we talking about?
I think it was a good question, actually. I read it while you were talking. Just quickly, 12 centimeter 32, which is a great fraction. I love it. No, it's a long way away, I think is the answer. It would, what would be amazing is if suddenly we saw something up there, and eventually we will. But we have instruments like James Webb and deep space telescopes and radar that goes way out of our solar system that will pick it up long before our glasses actually focus on the night sky. No, if it gets this close, we're doomed.
We're doomed, y'all. We're doomed. I mean, what choice? Let's say, we've. What do you suggest to people at this point? Right, just continue living your normal lives, and as the information comes in, we'll adapt to it. Right, because what other choice do we have? Can't lock ourselves in the house. We can't. You know what I mean? Like, we've got to just continue to live life and hope. I don't know. Starbucks will be there on Sunday. I don't know what other choice we have.
I guess it all depends on whether you believe everything is predetermined or you actually have free will. If you believe you have free will, you just got to keep living your life in the moment, and whatever happens will happen. Yeah. But live in the moment. You have that free will to keep loving your loved ones, stay with your pets, go out, get shit-faced, the usual.
Yeah.
The usual. I don't do that, but I like long walks with my dogs in the park, my wife. and beautiful sun, and no, the sun, not my son. I don't have any kids. Yeah. Troy Caulfield has put this question about 1,000 times, so I'm just going to answer it so he stops putting it. Could we use binary and quantum communication? Spin up equals 1 spin down equals 0, and imprint that data somehow and read that data to prevent changing the quantum state.
It's a very specific good one, Troy.
Very specific.
My son works in a large encryption company, and he tells me a lot about about binary and quantum spin and things. It's already being used in encryption by spy agencies. It's a very clever way of making things very secret. But there's a massive problem, he says, and this is the thing that I think they've probably cracked, is how do you use the spin, Troy, to actually send a signal? Because by viewing the spin at the other end, you're altering the one that's sent. I don't know.
Oh, jeez, that is
it's complicated.
That's interesting. Yeah, it's complicated. Trust me, I didn't understand a word you just said, Simon. So I just nodded. I just went like this.
That's
like,
normal. That's.
But yeah.
That's right.
Look, I know food. That's it. If we want to talk the 5 French sauces, I'm in. What song should we play them when they arrive? I vote we built this city on rock and roll.
Great.
Oh, that is funny. What song would we play for the arrival of alien? Like, what would be at the press conference? They would have music, right? Like, that is interesting.
It has to be Gabba Gabba Hey by the Ramones, doesn't it? I mean,
yeah. I vote that. I love that. That would be awesome. That's hilarious. I love that. All right, we'll take a couple more questions, guys, and then we're going to shut out here. But all right, this says, don't neutrinos go back in time?
I don't know.
I don't know. Yes. Sometimes
they're very, very strange particles. I mean, there's a neutrino passing through us right now, and they go right. They're so tiny that they're subatomic. I mean, we know from experiments, the gold foil experiment, that that atoms aren't solid, that you can fire things through it. But neutrinos are so tiny they don't even know where the subatomic particles are. So they're unbelievably interesting, neutrinos.
I agree. All of that's interesting to me. That part of life, right, and that discovery.
Oh, it's brilliant.
Of this other,
yeah,
right, this other world, this reality shift.
Quantum mechanics is just the best. Yeah, just look into it. I mean, the big thing that we've been discussing on my channel is consciousness, and that it seems that consciousness might be just a physical state of moving from the weird world of the subatomic into the big near field world to the far field world, and that everything is conscious. We think we're connected because we are all connected. It's a brilliant field.
That's what Donald Hoffman, I think, has been kind of alluding to.
Yeah. It's good.
A lot of recent research in that. Do you think, Simon, that consciousness, if it is a fundamental material within that makes up the fabric of reality, could technology be built on that? Could a whole nother branch of science be built on consciousness? And could you build hardware that could like amplify consciousness or project it or focus it or do different things with it?
All of the above. I mean, I think if it's true, that we feel religious, we feel godlike, not godlike, we feel connected to a bigger universe, we feel part of everything. There's no reason why everything isn't part of everything. I mean, so yeah, I think that technology is also in the big world, and it is in the quantum world. So is AI, is a computer, is your iPhone conscious? Probably the same as we are. That's what they're saying.
There seems to be a lot of overlap between the consciousness research and the UAP UFO community, and I always find that interesting, especially going
100%.
back as far as you want to go, like back to the 60s and 50s. They were talking about this.
I think there is a connection. I mean, talking to the physicist Jack Sarfati, who wants to understand how UFOs, as he would call them, because he's of that age, actually work. He describes them mainly in mathematics, but when he describes them in English, he calls them a consciousness. He says they are a conscious machine, and I think that's very interesting. And I think he is, that you're absolutely right. There is a complete tie-in with UFOs, UAP, and quantum physics and consciousness. I think that somehow they're all connected. I want to find out how. Yeah,
you are preaching to the choir.
Yeah,
about that stuff.
I agree. I agree. Yeah, I agree.
Good,
100%.
gentlemen. Good.
Simon, this says, can Simon say hello to Sean Vendetti?
Hello, Sean.
He says, hello. There you go. There you go.
I don't understand.
I don't know.
You're
he says
Sean.
He's a huge fan.
Yeah,
he is Sean.
Really...
Oh, okay.
Oh, sorry. I thought the person asking the question was asking me to say hello to somebody else, but no, Sean Vendetti. Hello, that's great. Thank you for asking the question. And come for a beer in France.
He says he's a huge fan, loves all your material. Your personality is great for the subject. Keep up the good work, gentlemen. Great talk today.
Not everybody thinks that, but I love it. Thank you.
I do. All right, last question.
Okay.
This is from Mr. Robot. He says, if we Brits have confirmed UAP exists, why is there no official way to report sightings? Great way.
Oh, absolutely. Sorry. There is here in France. I live in France, and you can just file a report, and it goes through Jacques. It goes through Jacques Vallée's system of classification. You remember Close Encounters, third kind, second kind. It goes through that because there is an official way. It actually goes into a document. Yeah. Wow. What is that weird country that used to be in Europe doing? Come on. Although, of course, they have. In the Condon report, already admitted that UAPs are real, and they're studying them. So maybe they're just giving up.
Love it. I love it. Right. I love your energy, Simon. I really do. All right. Luke St. Armor became a YouTube member. One last thing, I'm gonna give a shout out to on our way out. Give me 2 seconds. This will be the last thing here. We brought him up. It's a great person in the UFO community, doing a lot of great work. His name is Luis Elizondo, and a good friend. Made a great documentary. First part is out on his channel. His name is Red Panda Koala. I highly recommend you go check this out. One of the best UFO documentary, filmmakers on YouTube. Red Panda stuff is unlike anything other, and it's amazing.
It's one of the best history UFO documentaries out there.
Right? It's so good. He goes through the, with Cuba and Castro. Like it's amazing. So I'm going to put a link in the description to check it out. I mean, you can see he does so much work, so much. What's the word I'm looking for, Simon? Like, what would you call this? Like,
this is archive footage. Yeah.
Archive footage. Yeah. So much
great.
of it. I mean, the stuff he finds is it's amazing. And how he connects Luis Elizondo and his father and what his father did for Cuba and the fight that they, against oppression. It's awesome. It's a great look into Luis and his family and just that whole story. And it's part 1. So I find it quite amazing. Links in the description. Please go check it out. RPK's legit. With that stuff. It's really well made. Yeah. It's what you would definitely appreciate it in the work you do and have done. It's phenomenal. Yeah. Legend says, dude, Patrick, this one rocks. Great one. Thank you, Legend. You're a legend. Guys, we did it. Does anyone have any other last thoughts before I don't want to, make sure everyone got everything.
I think this is a very useful conversation. I think it was absolutely, thank you for organizing, Patrick, Clinton, Pavel. It's great. It's been an honor. And I think we touched on some really good subjects. And as I said earlier, I think, stay tuned to everybody's channels, because I think social media is where we're putting our, we're working hard. We're not getting paid for it, and we're trying to make content, and we're doing research for you. You're going to hear it here.
Yeah, love it. Well said. Absolutely.
Well said.
Yeah,
just
well said.
Be nice to each other. That's
oh yeah, be nice.
Be nice to each other.
I agree. Yeah,
that's always good. I love that.
Clint, what you got? Final words here.
Don't say any. The one, if you remember Top Gear, it used to be a car program.
I love Top Gear.
Oh, great. James May said, when I was asking him about something, he said, on the internet.
You know James May?
Yeah, I worked with him. James said, don't ever say anything to somebody on the internet that you wouldn't say to their face down the pub. That's a very English point of view, because if you say something that is so rude, they'll punch you in the face. And he's right. Just be nice. They're real.
We're
we
real.
are trying our best. We're people. Yeah. Ask questions, though.
I cannot. I'm still getting over the fact that you work with the Top Gear. I followed even the Grand Tour after they left Top Gear, because I was a fan of Clarkson, May, and Hammond, and I've followed their whole journey. I've seen every episode. I love Top Gear. I love those guys. I even watch all their other shows. James May going to Japan. I watch Richard Hammond's YouTube stuff. Clarkson's Farm. I love that. So good. That's so cool to hear. Wow. Well, look. A special thank you to everyone who tuned in. Okay, everyone who watched the show, took the time out of your day. You could be doing anything else, watching any other show, and you chose to come here and hang out with us. So a special thank you to you, Vetters, for making all of this possible. Thank you so much. And I definitely want to say a special thank you to our moderators who are in the chat, who I know it wasn't easy today. We reached a lot. We got 1,700 watching. The chat was going crazy. So thank you to all the moderators who were just working overdrive to make sure everything was cool. We have one of the most loving communities in UFO world, in my opinion. But even with that said, some creepers come in and we got to take care of them. And they did. So thank you guys so much. And of course, I want to thank everyone that came. Oh, sorry, Pablo. What's up?
You were going to say something, Clint? I'm sorry.
I cut you off. My bad, Clint.
Not at all. No, I was just going to say thanks for inviting me to be a part of this conversation. It was so much fun, and it's always exciting to.
Yeah, me too.
It's like we live in a time where we're watching the things that were science fiction 30 years ago become real, and it's so strange to watch, and it's just exciting to be able to get together and talk about it with such a cool group of people, and especially your audience, Pat. They're great.
Yeah, Vetters are awesome.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah,
that will get you some points, Pavel, if you say that.
Lasers.
No, definitely. I want to thank Pavel from Psicoativo podcast. Please, again, link in the description. Go check out his channel if you haven't already, and go subscribe. We got Clint down there with Nightshift podcast. Go check out his channel as well. He also has a new Discord that he just launched. So please go check out his channel. I'm sure he's got a link to it. And join the Discord. And, join the conversation with Nightshift. And, of course, Simon Holland, please. It's such an honor to have him here today with us and hanging out. Again, link in the description. Go subscribe to his channel and all the updates he's got. We all bring a different flavor to this community, which is what I love. We're not carbon copies of each other's content or what we provide or how we showcase what we do. So all very unique perspectives and shows, and it's just an honor to be here with these gentlemen and with you watching. So thank you to everyone who tuned in, and thank you guys for joining. This was awesome.
Great.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
All right, y'all. Remember, every day's a gift, y'all.
Bye.
Peace.